How could a movie as incredible as this flop in the box office so hard?
It's bad to kill. Guns kill. And you don't have to be a gun. You are what you choose to be. You choose.
Sitting down and rewatching The Iron Giant was probably one of the best decisions I've made in quite some time. It reignited these feelings of wonder and anxious terror that I once felt and didn't understand as a child. Now I can come back to process and internalize these feelings and emotions. Only slightly better than my past self, but hey, that's progress. This movie was fully released on August 6th, 1999, and produced by Warner Brothers Studios. It was written and directed by Brad Bird, who directed several other classics such as The Incredibles and Ratatouille. It's based off of a 1968 novel by Ted Hughes called The Iron Man, with a slightly similar plot. The Iron Giant takes place during the Cold War era of 1957 and is set in the fictional town of Rockwell, Maine. With the movie being made 8 years after the end of the Cold War, it shows off a lot of political undertones of the tension between America and Russia and the looming threat of nuclear warfare. I'm sensing a feeling of history repeating itself here. All of this was very subtle throughout the movie though, because that's not the message or idea that Brad Bird was trying to get across. Although I do see where he stands with his thoughts on the government and politics throughout his writing of the movie.
Hey there, Scout. Kent Mansley. I work for the government.
In an interview Brad had with the IndieWire, the question he asked himself proposing and writing the script of this was, what if a gun had a soul? Which in the making of this, he took to it very personally due to his sister Susan, who was a victim of gun violence, resulting in her death in 1989. This is the reason he touches on gun violence, and unfortunately, because of his strong passion for this film, is a partial reason to the absolute flop of this gem in the box office, with them having a $50 million budget and only grossing $30 million on release.
Hey!
Yeah?
You're right in the middle of the road!
Yeah?
All right.
Naturally, one part to this reason is Warner Brothers' poor marketing on this movie, with only one original cover art and very little trailers, as well as Warner not giving Brad a solid release date until April of 1999, giving very little time for marketing in between. There was a lot of reluctance on the Warner Brothers end also because of the animated film The Quest for Camelot, whose release had also performed poorly just the year before that. However, with critics absolutely loving the movie in the pre-screenings, as they should, Brad was extremely confident that the quality of the movie and the powerful message it gave would be enough to make it gain traction and popularity on its own. So naturally, he also pressured Warner Brothers to release the film to theaters, regardless of the poor advertising they had done to spread the word of the movie. This resulted in the failure of the animation's release, which didn't get as much attention as it deserved until hitting homes through VHS in November of 1999, coincidentally right before Christmas, and was developed into a cult classic from then on, even as far as to be nominated for and win quite a few awards such as Best Animated Film from LA Film Critics, and a number of Annie Awards like Best Animated Film Feature and so on. I'm happy they were able to bounce back, but it really sucks that this was a diamond in the rough for so long. The story of a boy named Hogarth, literally raising and taking care of a 50-plus foot metal war machine that has the same mental capacity as an actual toddler, and teaching it to have its own free thoughts and decisions, with the giant's end decision of it wanting to be good and not just be a gun that's used for killing.
I am not a gun.
Not only that, but also learning to care for and value life, because nothing lives forever, which this movie did an amazing job on, especially in the scene of Hogarth having to teach the concept of death to the giant, caused by the hunter shooting and killing a deer. Hogarth himself even struggles with this, because he too really doesn't have the best understanding of life after
That
death
means
either.
You have a soul. And souls don't die. Mom says it's something inside of all good things, and that it goes on forever and ever.
So much of this heavy material was incredibly moving to rewatch, and scenes like these I feel like were meant for our younger selves' subconsciousness, as well as the parents who hopefully could already understand the message trying to be delivered during the movie, still having a beautiful balance of humor that actually had me cackling out loud during some scenes. Even with the giant being voiced by Vin Diesel makes it really funny to think of him just acting out lines of broken English like a scared weak little kid when he's the ideal model of male masculinity in real life.
Rock, tree. Get it? That's right!
Obviously, we cannot forget the artwork of this movie either. In terms of backgrounds and animation, this one is rather historical, because around this time, the method of hand drawing every scene in background was starting to phase out, and CGI and 3D animation was coming into play. The Iron Giant took a risky gamble and did beautiful hand-drawn backgrounds, in which they captured the essence of the Maine seacoast extremely well, and incorporated that in with a CGI animated character, which was the giant. They did a great job in blending in two different forms of animation, but still having the giant give off this not from this world vibe, which is probably that anxious and scared feeling feeling I had as a kid, seeing that robot's eyes glowing through the forest. The story sent me through a roller coaster of emotions throughout it, from the fear of the unknown giant to the anger of Kent Mansley's fear-mongering tactics to wanting to destroy what they do not understand.
We don't know what it is or what it can do. I don't feel safe, Hogarth. Do you?
What are you talking about?
Even that feeling of having no power to be able to do something, because being a kid has its limitations, and you understand the same resemblance of being trapped and helpless since we've all been there before. The frustration of crying out, but no one believing you, is seen on both sides of the spectrum here.
You just blew millions of Uncle Sam's dollars out of your butt!
What I took away from watching The Iron Giant was not only the message of gun violence, but also learning to have empathy for others, no matter if they're human, black, white, a deer, or a 50-foot giant metal robot. This was apparent to me right from the start when Hogarth saved the giant in the electrical substation. He was an extremely bright individual who was not one to stand by and do nothing. I hope kids that watched this movie at the time of release were influenced to stand up for themselves and others, and not just be another bystander when problems occur. Always fight for your rights, and against the oppression of your fellow man, or robot. I hope you all enjoyed the discussion today, and if you have any other remarks or opinions on the movie, please let me know in the comments and consider liking and subscribing as well. Have a good day, everyone. Peace, y'all.